Hey everybody, how you doing? We hope you're doing well. Welcome to Pillow Talk with Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia Watkins. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. I'm here with my lovely wife, Dr. Alicia Watkins. How you doing today, babe?
I'm actually doing pretty good. How are you feeling?
Doing pretty well. Doing pretty well. We're here in Copenhagen, Denmark, and believe it or not, y'all, it's like 1:30 in the morning here. Even though I know it's only 6:30 in Chicago, I think it's 7:30 in the East Coast, and we just had an emergency. It was crazy. We were awakened by some emergency vehicles that basically were speaking Danish to us in the middle of the night, and I was really kind of pissed about it because 9 times out of 10, when they say there's an emergency, there really isn't one. It's just that they wake you up and pull you out of bed, and then you can't go back to sleep. And that's what this emergency was. They literally just woke us up for the fun of it, but we got out
Yeah.
safely.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. It's mostly nothing. But
Right.
but you still have to follow the instructions
Absolutely, even if they're in
and get up
Danish.
and get out. Yeah.
Even if they're speaking in Danish. Now, by the way, everybody, we're on our cell phone, so let me know if you can hear us. Give us a yes in the chat if you can hear us. Let us know if we're coming through okay. I want to make sure we have a good sound check. And also hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe if you haven't done it yet. So the topic we were going to hit today has to do with Phylicia Rashad. How many of you knew? Give me a yes or no. How many of you knew that Rashad was the dean at Howard University in the fine arts department? Did anybody even know that? Or, and if you didn't know that, did you know that she just quit her job? How many of y'all knew that? So you and I were kind of noticing this, and we were kind of curious about it because we're both academicians. My background's in finance. My wife is in social work. What did you think when you first saw this, babe?
I thought that's a quick tenure. She wasn't even in that position very long. That was my initial thought. So then I started wondering, ooh, was there some sort of internal conflict or something that happened? It's
Yeah,
not like she retired from that position. She just left.
well, she just got there. She got there in 2021.
Oh, 2021. Yeah, that's what I was
Yeah,
thinking.
and she's leaving in 2023. And unless there's like a health issue, which I hope that there isn't, it did make you wonder, like, why so quick? Like, why so soon? What happened here?
That's what I was wondering. And I know we read the article together. What was your take on it?
Given that it's Howard, I assume there's probably some drama. You know, Howard just seems to have a lot of drama going on. If you remember a couple years ago, how many of y'all remember this? Do y'all remember when Felicia Rashad, when they were trying to cancel Felicia Rashad, which literally would have made me want to punch somebody in the face. And they were trying to cancel her back in the day when she said some words that seemed to defend Bill Cosby. And in case you lived under a rock the last 30 years, you know that Felicia and Bill Cosby were the stars of one of the most iconic shows in television history called The Cosby Show. And I don't care what what the accusations were and all that stuff. I love that show. I mean, I feel this show made you feel good, and I think that Cosby contributed a lot to society, even if he did something illegal. And Felicia Rashad was one of the few people that had the integrity to say, they're trying to obliterate this man's legacy. This isn't just holding him accountable for a crime. You're trying to just destroy everything that the man ever touched. And I thought that was pretty noble for her to do that. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, she never out and out canceled him. I think my impression is that everyone expected her to denounce, is that the right word? Denounce Bill Cosby and
Mm,
to make a public statement against him. And, as a black woman, and he had done all of these things allegedly to all different types of women, especially black women. And I think there was sort of an irritation I got from people because she didn't respond in the way I think that people wanted her to.
mm.
So
Eh,
I think that was the problem.
Well, here's some of what was there. So she, unfortunately, like many other black people in Hollywood, which is why I just never have a desire to be there. She had to go on the apology tour. So basically, um, what happened was that it says here, this is the LA Times, that when just a month after Rashad was welcomed as dean, her Cosby Show ties landed her in hot water. She appeared to be in Cosby's corner after news dropped that the comic's 2018 conviction for allegedly drugging and sexually assaulting former Temple University employee Andrea Constand had been overturned because of a due process technicality. Finally, a terrible wrong is being righted, a miscarriage of justice is corrected. So that's what she tweeted. Well, shortly after, the lynch mobs came for her, and she ended up having to issue multiple apologies. She says here, my remarks were in no way directed towards survivors of sexual assault. I vehemently oppose sexual violence. I find no excuse for such behavior, and I know that Howard University has a zero tolerance policy toward interpersonal violence. And also, she says, I fully support survivors of sexual assault coming forward. My post was in no way intended to be insensitive to their truth. Personally, I know from friends and family that such abuse has lifelong residual effects. My heartfelt wish is for healing.
Mm-hmm.
I,
Yeah,
what did
but
you?
she didn't go. She went kind of to the line, but she didn't go across the line where I think that was desired. The desire was there for her to personally come at him, and
Do,
she wouldn't do it.
do you think she was surprised by the backlash? Do you think that she didn't expect the backlash to happen?
Well, when I saw the original comment, you don't know what she knows that everyone else doesn't know. Like that
Right.
that's what I got. I got like, wait, she's coming from a whole different perspective, and she probably has all sorts of information specifically about him and that situation that we didn't have. That was my
hmm
impression.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, I think, and remember when you and I were in L.A. and we got in that electric Cadillac with that white man who was a driver, and he was telling us his perspective on what happened back then, and he drove for Hugh Hefner for years, and he also drove Cosby.
That's right.
Yeah, and he said, "Oh, I knew a lot of the women that were making these accusations." And he said, "I remember thinking he was kind of saying." He said, "No, I don't think Cosby did anything." He said,
What an interesting driver that man
"Oh, he
was.
was. I like that guy. His name was David.
Okay.
David the
You
random,
remember his name?
David the mysterious white man. The you know, remember they had that movie, the spook that sat by the door.
Yeah.
He's the cracker that sat by the door."
It really was, because you wouldn't expect, like, looking at him, and that's how Los Angeles is. Just LA is just like that. You
It's
wouldn't
L.A.
expect
Confidential.
you wouldn't expect the words coming out of his mouth in such support of Bill Cosby and what he saw. He was like, "Look, I've seen people do things that would make Bill Cosby look like a saint." he's
Mm-hmm.
like,
Mm-hmm.
he's like, what Bill Cosby allegedly had done. He said it was like nothing compared
Compared
to
to
what
Hugh
most of these
Hefner,
people were doing.
compared to Hefner, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, he was really honest, and I appreciated hearing his perspective. And it doesn't mean Cosby didn't do something wrong, right? I think the question is whether the punishment fit the crime. You
Oh,
know,
but he was riddling off all sorts of conspiracy theories that were coming out about Bill Cosby.
like
Oh, what was he doing at the time? Remember, it's like, how does he know this?
I tell you,
Yeah.
it was an interesting conversation, and I really think I don't like the idea of Hollywood trying to manipulate the minds of the public. I mean, because if you're gonna believe the stuff that they're saying about the Cosbys or whatever, then you have to listen to what Mel Gibson is saying about them running trafficking rings out of Hollywood.
You know what? We've got to support Mel Gibson and watch that documentary.
The Sound of Freedom.
Yes.
Well, I tell you,
Is it still in the theaters? We must go.
yeah. Well, he also partners with Ashton Kutcher on that. Him and Ashton, like and
Oh,
Ashton has a different image from a Mel Gibson.
oh, he would know because he was a star. Remember, he started
hmm
really, really early with that '70s show.
Yeah, yeah,
So that
yeah,
would be really fascinating to hear what he has to say.
yeah. And so I find it a little bit interesting and almost appalling that Hollywood's going to single out this one guy and say, "Oh yeah, he's the bad one. He's the bad one. The rest of us are good. Him and Weinstein are bad." Even though you had Michelle Obama hugging up with Weinstein and also the craziness. I don't know. I kind of feel like, and really, if you really want to make it simple, Phylicia Rashad has a right to have her opinion. And I was very disappointed. I say to these celebrities, like, look, if you're not gonna stand by what you said, then don't say it. I wish she had either thought it through and not said it, or said it and then just said, "Look, I said what I said."
Well, yeah, I think she said what she said. I don't think she ever went back on it, but I think she just went on to explain further.
Okay,
She
okay,
elaborated on her statement,
okay.
but I don't
That's
think she ever recanted. It wasn't like she took the tweet down, of course, because of the backlash, but I don't think even what she put up didn't sound as if, oh, I put that up and I was mistaken. She never said that.
right. And
Yeah.
yeah, and I hate being judged by a country that won't even pay reparations for slavery. I think that's what's so funny is like you act like like we're the only ones who should be accused of things, and I just don't buy into it. Anyway, uh, do me a
Oh,
favor,
that's a good
hit the
one.
please hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe. Also, let us know you can hear us okay. Let us also shout out the city you're from. Feel free to shout out the city. You're watching Pillow Talk with Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia Watkins. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. This is my wife, Dr. Alicia Watkins. I'm a professor of finance. My wife is a professor of social work, a full professor actually, and the only people don't know. A lot of people don't know this. You're the only Fulbright scholar in the history of your campus, which I think is pretty cool.
I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm proud of you for that. And also she's a licensed therapist as well, and she sees clients on an individual and collective basis. So if you'd like to learn more about what Dr. Alicia does, you can go to coachingwithdralicia.com. That URL's on the screen. My website is boycewatkins.com. So let's dig into this. Okay, so with Felicia, I think we can close out this part of the discussion by basically saying that there, even though she could have just decided I don't want to be there anymore. She could have just been like, I'm out. I want to go do something else. I'm tired of this job that I took 2 years ago. Um, but I can't help but feel like there's something else going on.
Ooh.
She raised a lot of money. I think she raised $5 million from Netflix to create the Chadwick Boseman School of Fine Arts or something like that, which created the Fine Arts School as a separate entity from the campus, which was what they had before, but they didn't have that anymore. And so I thought that was interesting, and that's kind of what you want, right? With a celebrity dean, is you want the ability to raise money. It's always about the money. Everything's about the money.
Yeah, but I wonder if maybe her making that statement and the timing of it all, maybe she just left a lot of people feeling real sour and it was something that she couldn't overcome. You just never know. The politics at universities.
Mm.
You never really know
Well,
if
you
she got a difficult time.
you and I have experience dealing with even Howard politics. You know,
Oh, yeah.
I wanted to teach there, and I remember being interviewed for a job on the finance faculty at Howard, and I was interviewed by a Chinese man, and I'll never forget that. And I'm like, why the hell is a Chinese man making the decision as to whether or not I'm qualified to teach African Americans? I won't go to, if I go to China, I'll never find an African American man running a Chinese finance department, deciding if Chinese people are qualified to teach Chinese people. That just tells me, we're like in such a slave state. It's ridiculous.
I
Um,
guess
I mean,
that's funny.
that's just tacky as hell. It's so trifling. It's such a reflection of the ridiculousness of the societal structure that we submitted to. It kind of infuriates me a little bit.
It doesn't make sense at all. And I wish, I feel sorry for HBCUs because it's a difficult time. It's difficult for some universities to find good talent. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes, especially in business and finance, it's very difficult. I mean, you talk about it yourself. You were the only person who graduated with a PhD the year that you graduated or the semester
In a
that you
PhD in
graduate
finance, yeah.
in finance. And that speaks to the fact that those the STEM PhDs are just far and few between in terms of qualified African American applicants. It's just really difficult. And what do departments do? You got to have a finance department and business schools, and it leaves universities kind of stuck with we got to hire this person outside of our race at
But they
this
didn't have to do that.
HBCU.
I was okay with taking the job.
Oh,
I,
but
I
did they not offer you the position?
No, I think that they passed.
Oh,
I honestly, because remember at that time I started to do more national TV appearances, and I was talking about controversial racial issues. So they didn't want someone as controversial as me on the campus. That
so
that was
did they blackball you or?
I was probably blackballed, yeah, because I went on CNN and I was raising hell about racism on CNN. So if you do that in academia, you lose a lot of friends. You lose your white friends and your black friends. So I didn't have a lot of supporters. I didn't have a lot. One of my biggest supporters was this white guy named Peter Kovios at Syracuse, and he gave me the rundown of like he said, yeah, this is why they're doing this to you, and this is what they're gonna do. This is what they're trying to do, and I love that man for that. I'll never
Okay, so
forget
he
him.
told you, he kind of let you in on probably conversations he was privy to, and he knew what happened. He's like, you were
Mhm.
probably blackballed in a lot of different ways. So he was just letting you know.
Yeah, well, he was from another country. People from other countries, give me a yes if y'all agree with this, if y'all understand. People from other countries tend to understand American racism better than Americans do. Like we tend to just
Oh.
accept it as the way things are. Whereas he came from another country. He was like, "What the hell is this?" He told me a great story, and I had so much respect for him. But like you talk about, if you want to talk about those white folks that are really allies, he was a true ally. Because let me tell you what he did. He said, when I was in during the Vietnam War, I was in training camp, and he said, I noticed that every time they would send soldiers out to fight in the infantry, they kept sending all the black guys. And they wouldn't send any of the white guys. And he said, I wrote a letter to them and was like, why do you only send the black people? And you're not, they're the only ones being sent off to die. And you're letting the white people sit back and benefit from the black people who are doing all the fighting. Now, of course, there were white guys that did fight in Vietnam, but when he told me that story, I just said, okay, this guy kind of gets it,
Mm,
and
okay.
I'll never stop respecting that man. For his name was Peter Kovios. I don't even know if he's still on the faculty of Syracuse, but he was the chairman at the time,
He was the chair.
and
Okay.
he was my advocate. Yeah, and I didn't have a lot of advocates. I didn't have a lot of people that understood me at that time, but I didn't care. I was okay with standing by myself.
Mm,
Because I think that when you believe in something, you got to stand on that. And that's what I say. Again, I don't know Felicia's scenario. I don't, whatever. I just think, we get so many black people in these weekend compromised positions where the minute we tell the truth, like
mm-hmm.
that, there wasn't nothing wrong with what she said. All she said was, I'm glad my friend got acquitted. I'm glad my friend, his case got overturned. Like, she had a legal right to say all of this. But they're like, no, you don't have a right to have your own opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
and I resent that when somebody says something like that to me. I triple down. I'm like, no, you are not going to take away my right as an American to have a point of view.
Okay, so she made that comment and they were like literally, bye Felicia. Goodbye. Goodbye to you.
Bye, Felicia.
Bye
Bye,
Felicia.
that's so funny. You're so cute when you make corny jokes. Okay. Anyway,
That's how it is. It's their institution. They can do however they want. I mean, we don't know if
mm,
that's what happened, but it's their institution.
that's so
They
true.
can do what they want to do.
Anyway, guys, you're watching Pillow Talk with Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia Watkins. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. This podcast is on Spotify, by the way. So if you go to Spotify and look up Boyce Watkins, you can find me on Spotify. And also, if you want to see a new copy, I have a new book out called The 10 Commandments of Black Economic Power. It is a powerhouse book for anybody that wants to build generational wealth in their family in an easy way that even kids can understand. It's an Amazon bestseller, and you can go take a look. You can go to drboycebooks.com and you can get 30% off in the store on anything in the store by using the code word book club. And also, I want to remind everybody that the All Black National Convention is coming up. That's going to be October 20th in Atlanta, and it's going to be our eighth one. And it's where intelligent black people get together to solve problems in our community, to connect with each other, and to have a hell of a lot of fun. It's going to be bigger, blacker, and better than ever before, and we're going to have just amazing people there. We're also going to show our new film called B1 the Movie, directed by Rick Mathis, starring people like Dr. Claude Anderson, Vicki Dillard, Queen Afua, Professor James Small, and more. So if you'd like to join us at the All Black National Convention in Atlanta, the discounted hotel rooms are going to run out soon. Please go to allblacknationalconvention.com. That's allblacknationalconvention.com. Hit the thumbs up button. Thumbs up, share, subscribe. So where are we right now? Let me tell you guys what my wife and I are doing. We're actually in Copenhagen, Denmark right now. And there we are. And she's looking, you look so cute in that little hoodie.
Let me tell you, that hoodie is not enough. It is so freaking cold in this little ice rock you got me on.
I like it. This is a peaceful place. What are you talking about, lady?
Wait, what do you mean peaceful?
It's just peaceful. There's no here in Europe. Let me tell you what. There's no fat people. There's no gun violence. Very little. There's very little homelessness. The people are well educated. The food is damn good. I like it here. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I like it at home too, but here it's actually like a lot of the problems we have at home don't exist here really.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know. Like, I feel like I live all of those things that you just mentioned. I have that in my home.
Well, that's because
I
you
don't need to be
that's because you
outside. I
that's
don't
because
need
you
to
took your
be,
black ass to the suburbs.
yeah, but
Go to West Side Chicago and say that again.
yeah, but I don't need to be, I don't need to take that. That was a very long 8-hour flight to Finland.
Yeah, you were
I
cold.
was the only black person on that
And
airplane.
they probably thought you were one of them
Yeah, they probably didn't
because you kind of
know.
had yellow, but you look cute though in that. I like your little.
Man, I am. Let me talk about
Look at
that thing is like a blanket on me.
but you look. I
It
think
is
doesn't
freezing
she look
here.
cute, y'all? Doesn't she look adorable? Right? Look at that. Oh my gosh! I said that's my wife. That's my baby. Look at you looking all good. That's me. I got my. I was in Iceland. That was part of my trip. This is a whole like European tour. It's a family thing, but it was so much fun. And that's my Nordic sweater. I got this from a company called Icewear. What do y'all think? How do I look? Do I look icy? Do I
I
look?
used to have a sweater like that. I wore the hell out of that sweater. I wore it like every day almost.
It's warm. I like
Yeah.
it. Anyway, okay, so let's get back to the topic at hand. What are we doing? Messing around here. So on other news fronts that I thought were really interesting, Sha'Carri Richardson is back in the news again. Sha'Carri is surprise, surprise, she is in a beef with another track athlete right now, according to these internet streets and conversations that are happening. As you guys know, may or may not know, the World Championships are coming up this month in Budapest. And Sha'Carri, let's just say this: Sha'Carri has been showing her ass on the track this year in good and bad ways. She is one of the fastest sprinters on earth. She has a legitimate opportunity to become world champion, to even beat the women from Jamaica, Shelly Ann Fraser Price, and all those women. Like they're all paying attention because Sha'Carri. I'm a track and field fan. I used to be a track coach, and I'm a huge fan. And I can tell you, she's been just blowing the track up in a good way. And I was really happy for her because you saw last year she's kind of fell on her face. You know, she kind of really had a hard time. This year, Sha'Carri has been just on fire. Well, the problem is that apparently she has an issue with another lady named Gabby Douglas. Gabby Douglas, she carries a little hood. Gabby went to Harvard, but Gabby's like Harvard hood. You know, she's not scared of anybody. And apparently, from what's been leaking out is that in their preparations for the women's 4x100 meter relay, Sha'Carri's team, who's coached by a guy named Dennis Mitchell, and I know Dennis is about my age. I remember when Dennis used to be a sprinter. They're pissed off because apparently this is what some insiders are kind of saying. They're upset because they don't want any. Sha'Carri thinks only 100-meter dash runners should be on the 4x100-meter relay team, and Dennis also wants some of his athletes on the team. Let me see if I got a quote here. Here's what a brother said on YouTube, and I don't have his channel in front of me. I wish I did have it because I want to give him credit. But he said it went from okay to now they are doing it on purpose. So this is sabotaging the preparations for the women's relay team. They also wanted Kayla Davis to run in the relay because now she is no longer with Dwayne Rossi and she's now with Dennis Mitchell. They also wanted Twanisha Terry to run and Sha'Carri to run. So if you don't know TT Terry ran. Well, she's a great sprinter. She ran with that amazing women's 4x100 meter team. Did anybody see that? Where they barely beat the Jamaicans by the skin of their teeth. And TT ran at the end, and Sharika Jackson, remember that, babe? Where
I do
Sharika
remember.
Jackson was like chasing her down, like
Oh,
she.
if that final line was any longer, she would have got her.
If it
But
would have been
she would have
six
taken
inches
her.
longer, Sharika would have got that ass.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
Sharika was chasing her like she had her lunch money,
I remember that.
like she had all the child support money, and she needed to
Yeah,
buy some diapers.
TT was running out of steam.
Oh,
That
TT.
lady was that lady was like, "I'm coming for you."
Yeah, she was chasing her down like an
Oof.
angry baby mama,
I'd be
and
so mad. I would be so mad if I was that Jamaican
yeah, and
team.
and the team was so like it was so American in terms of our fake diversity, right? You got the two white girls and the two black girls, and let me just tell you, as a track and field fan, I can tell you all these women are super talented. On that team that they had last year, Jenna Prandini, who's kind of the tall one, the tall white lady, she's super fast, especially in the 200. The other one is Abby Steiner, who actually attended my alma mater, University of Kentucky. She's a beast. The sister in the front, the sister with the headband, that's Denise TT Terry from USC, and the other sister I don't remember her name. So maybe if y'all know her name, you can remind me who her name is. So anyway, long story short, This is the team they had last year, right? Y'all follow this? And they didn't have Sha'Carri Richardson because Sha'Carri was having a really bad year. Well, this year, Sha'Carri has literally beaten the dog crap out of every single one of these women. Like literally every woman that was on that relay team has been obliterated by Sha'Carri Richardson. So there's no question about whether Sha'Carri should be on this team.
Oh, she should be on it and anchoring. She should be the anchor on
You
that
know what?
team as well as she's
It
doing.
would be legit to put her on the anchor. Now,
Hmm.
but here's another thing though. Let me tell you about Gabby. I love Gabby Thomas. I say Gabby Douglas. I meant to say Gabby Thomas. I love Gabby Thomas, and I was so. Let me just tell you how much I love Gabby Thomas because I follow her career closely. I followed her on Instagram. I ran into her in the Denver airport right after she won nationals, and I saw her, and I said, "That looks like Gabby Thomas." But that can't be Gabby Thomas because her hair was kind of frizzy. She looked like she was just kind of traveling through the airport. You know how you look, kind of sloppy through the airport. She didn't look like this. Her hair wasn't flowing and all that. And then I saw her again, and I knew her so well. I knew her career so well that I knew she was sponsored by New Balance. And I was like, who wears New Balance sneakers? Nobody wears that shit.
Nobody wears
Don't
new.
nobody.
Wait, old men who want to walk around comfortably wear New Balance.
Right, right.
Barack Obama, remember Barack Obama wears them.
No,
Yeah, that's how
I thought he
like
was cool.
no, he wears them. That's why all the other old black men start wearing them too. Just so you know. Oh yeah, it was. You don't remember that when he first
No,
became president. But
what they call
anyway,
New Balance, new brother.
his new brother.
NB stands for new brother, or it stands for knowledgeable brother. Just misspelled knowledge. I'm a knowledgeable brother. NB. Anyway, so, anyway, so Gabby Thomas. So and that's when I knew it was her. I said, "Who the hell would be walking through the
No
airport
one
with New
wears
Balance?"
that.
She had New Balance sneakers on. She was doing a good job for her sponsor. Like she's making New Balance cool again, which is really a Herculean task. And let me tell you how she's making it cool. Gabby Thomas is a badass sprinter. When I tell y'all that this lady is amazing, she ran 21.6. When I saw her, I don't get fanned out. Like most of the time when I bump into people, like they're getting my autograph or they're asking me for a selfie. In this case, I was like, are you the sprinter? And she said, yeah, she was really nice. And I said, you ran 21.6, didn't you? She said, yeah. I said, yeah, you know what? I said, I remember watching. I said, Sha'Carri's been running good, but I said, I don't think she's going to beat Gabby.
Oh, did you say that to her?
Absolutely. And she said, thank you. I did not know
Oh,
though.
I know she didn't really comment that much.
Well, she didn't say anything. But here's the thing: I did not know at the time that they are beefing. So apparently, Gabby does this Twitter post where she she puts something like she says, "If you're beefing with yourself," she said, if you think you're beefing with me, you're really beefing with yourself,
Yeah.
because life is short and I'm too blessed to be stressed.
Yeah. So basically, put Gabby on the first leg and put Shakari Richardson on the last leg and just be done with it.
Well, that's the thing. Here's the
You know.
problem, though. Here's the problem that people are concerned about, and I'm concerned. I mean, I'm a track fan, right? I'm kind of pissed off about this. I've seen times where people's egos and all the beefing has caused them to get their ass whooped because in a relay team, you got to be coordinated. You have to train together. And
Hmm.
and what the complaint was, the reason Gabby allegedly got outraged is because they were showing up to practice late, just kind of showing out, just kind of getting ghetto with it. And she was like, "You're gonna mess us up."
Wait, who was showing up too late?
Shakari's crew, Shakari and Dennis Mitchell. She felt that they were deliberately sabotaging the process. So you don't know what's going to happen if somebody's going to deliberately drop the baton or what. Like but I can tell you like these women,
Mm.
but you're right. Gabby because I'm a track coach. Gabby should run the second leg because she's got those long legs and
Oh, the corner.
the second
She
oh,
should do
well
the
no the
corner.
straightaway, sorry, the
Oh, the
straightaway leg.
straightaway. Okay.
She should if you got that sprinter that runs like Noah Lyles is another one on the men's side. So
Uh-huh.
those 200-meter runners that they take time to get their speed up, but they have great strength. So you put them on the second leg because that's the longest leg. Sha'Carri can really run almost any leg and
Around
kill
the
it.
corner. Hmm.
Sha'Carri is such a beast. Like she's right up there with Shelly and Fraser Price and Sharika Jackson. All I think she beat Sharika. And then, but the problem is, I think Dennis Mitchell also wants TT Terry back on the team. That was the one whose lunch was
The one
getting
that ran out of steam
the
at the
one
end.
who literally hung on by an inch.
Whew.
TT Terry is not qualified to be on this team.
Yeah, TT looked relieved.
She was
Like
like, "Thank Lord Jesus, this race was not
see,
101 meters long." Or yeah, if there had been one more meter added, Sharika would have caught
she would
her.
have been in trouble.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
my goodness.
So TT's not fast enough. So that's the issue, right? But Dennis Mitchell's like, no, if you want Sha'Carri, you got to take. If you want the fast girl, you got to take my slower girl. And the U.S. Olympic team or the U.S. whatever the team, national team, they're like, screw you. Like we'll take her, but we don't want her.
Okay, so it's politics all around. I guess the theme of today is how to deal with politics 101.
Or
I
or,
mean,
or conflict resolution
it's
because
conflict,
because
but it's
Sha'Carri.
political.
But let's be clear though. But I think it's deeper than the politics though. I think that remember you got to remember Sha'Carri is kind of ghetto. And that's what the guys were talking about on this podcast. I wish I had the name of the podcast in front of me. I feel so bad I can't say the name because they did a good conversation. And they were telling I could tell by looking in their eyes because I don't know if they were who they knew, but they were like, "Yeah, I got a phone call from one person. He told me a story. Another person told me the exact same story. And here's what's really going on." And he named names and everything. And if anybody Googles both of their names, they can find this episode. And it was just kind of like the conversation was Shakari being just out of pocket,
Hmm.
because she has had that trauma. I think that to me, that's the more interesting topic. Not that the politics don't matter. In fact, I'm gonna hand the ball to you because you're the trauma expert.
Wait, what do you mean about trauma?
Well, Shakari's been through a lot of trauma. If you remember when she got caught with the whole situation with the weed, she said that she was smoking extra weed because her biological mother had died. And I remember thinking, how weird is that? Most people don't say my biological mother died. They say my mother died.
Hmm.
So that right there tells me that there's an issue there. And I think Shakari's just been through some stuff and it causes her, unfortunately, to get, it seems, triggered.
Oh,
Let's
so that's where you're going with it. Yeah. The thing is that she has got to get along with other people, and it's probably very difficult to have her with so much talent and so much power. But to put her on a relay team, she may have to forfeit that if she's not in a position where she can work with other people effectively. It might be better in the long run. It might be better just to hold off and put another set of four girls on that team so that they can actually have a really strong completion and not embarrass themselves out there because there are people who can't get along with other people.
yeah.
They may have to get to the point where they're like, if she's not showing up to practice and she's beefing with other people on the team, she may get herself kind of removed from that, and for a good reason, right? And without her, they probably could win first place.
Yeah.
They probably could, but the problem, and that's the thing, not getting along with people. And track and field is such an individual sport, and it's very competitive. So how do
Mm.
you put all these people who are competitive, who are competing against each other, they got to all of a sudden drop their grievances with each other and work together as a team? And if you have anybody who can't do it, which it seems like Shakari is not able to do that, then she may have to be gone from the relay.
Yeah, and I think it's what one thing there's a guy named Mike Rogers who is a really great sprinter, and I followed Mike for many years. I bet nobody in this, hey, give me a yes or no. How many of y'all heard of Mike Rogers? I bet almost nobody in the chat has heard of Mike Rogers. But let me tell you, Mike Rogers is one of those guys that it's sad to me that a lot of people don't know who he is because he was so consistent and he was a world-class sprinter for like over a decade. Every year, Mike Rogers will pop up he had just this amazing amount of consistency through the years, and he would always get put on the relay teams. I think because of that consistency and
Yeah.
professionalism.
And he
Pe-
shows up and he gets along with people. He can work as a
Mhm.
team. And yeah,
Yeah, yeah, people don't
yeah,
talk about that, right? So they think it's about running fast. Well, anyway, Mike
yeah,
Rogers made a comment on Twitter about it because a lot of the track community is really talking about it, and I think it's gonna, hopefully it'll enhance the visibility of the World Championships because they deserve to get, noticed for what they're doing. And he said we always had issues too. We would have egos and people fighting, but we kept it in house.
yeah,
You didn't let it spill out into the public, and that's what makes this different. You
yeah.
know.
And she's so reactionary that one little thing and she probably has a meltdown. And they just can't afford to have that. It's enough pressure and tension and um, stress already when you're doing a
Mhm.
relay because it's not just you. You got three other people that's counting on you and that you're counting on. I think I think it might be if she can't get it together, it might be a wise decision to just remove her from the relay and wish her the best on her individual sport.
Yeah, and they got to
Yeah.
and they have to run up against against the Jamaicans.
Yeah. Now the Jamaicans know how to run together,
Oh, right,
right? They
right.
don't
And they're
play.
the Jamaicans are
They know how to run together. So
they are
and
beast mode.
they got something to prove because that last when they got beat out by the Americans, they got something to prove. So it's a lot riding on this.
Hmm.
And you're up against the Jamaican team. Can't
Who
play
ha-
around.
who probably who really honestly they have more talent than anybody on the planet.
Yeah.
And I was really proud of the women. Like I'm that kind of a track fan. Like I was super proud of them for the way they just showed out. And you're right, the professionalism and the
Oh.
teamwork showed. And they had two young college athletes pretty much running on the relay team. The first white girl, Abby Steiner, and the other one I don't have her name, but she's the one in the very front. They both had run a whole college season and competed all year against each other in college. And next thing you know, they're running the world championships and beat the Jamaicans.
Hmm.
That was a big surprise, and it was a beautiful race to watch. So I just hope that they get past this, and I really worry about Sha'Carri just as a person because even if she's not
Yeah.
competing as an athlete, or even if she's winning as an athlete, I really hope she is also able to win at life. I feel like
Yeah.
I feel
She's
like
not so stable. She seems kind of shaky, don't she?
yeah, she seems like she's got a lot,
She
like
real like one little thing you can see will probably set her off.
yeah,
And
yeah.
you could see like I have sort of been following her and I've been watching like her posts and some of the things that she says in some of her interviews, and you could see there's this internal struggle going on with her. Like
Mhm.
every she is taking everything day by day, moment
Mhm.
by moment. And when they're like, how do you get through it? You can tell like some of the things she repeats to herself in her head that she says out loud during her interview. She's like, I gotta keep going. I got to keep doing this. You could tell these are mantras that she's living by, and she's doing
Mm.
everything in her best ability. That's what I find. Everything in her best ability to perform at this optimal level, but it's such a struggle for her every day. Where somebody like a Gabby Thomas, that's just her regular day. She wakes up in the morning, I'm going to grind. She don't even need to have these mantras to overcome. She just does it. So you could see like it's a good position in terms of looking at someone who has all of these serious issues that they have to overcome, plus doing track and working at your optimal best, as compared to someone who doesn't have all of those emotional issues. They can just like train and get out there. Everything's easy going, easier to work with, easier, easy on. I don't know what I want to say, but just easy going. You could see it in their face. I mean,
Mhm.
look at that face. Is that Gabby?
Yeah, this is Gabby.
Yeah, look at that face. There's a peacefulness in her face that
And I
you don't
pick
necessarily see.
with Sha'Carri.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sadly.
Sha'Carri looks like she ready to fight you.
I mean,
Yeah.
she looks like, oh,
Yeah, well,
poor
and
thing.
when I saw Gabby in person, that was exactly how she presented herself in person.
Oh, so she's a sweetheart. She would never
She
be.
was, I'll tell you, I was super proud of her.
Yeah,
Not
yeah.
just because I like the way she presents, like
Mm-hmm.
she understands she's on TV, she has to carry herself a certain way. But also, I think she represents intelligent Black people well. But then also, that 21.6 is banging. That
Yeah,
time she ran, that was a beast. The only people to run that faster than that were like people like FloJo.
yeah,
Sharika Jackson's up there too, but excuse me. Sorry. I mean, I'll tell you, FloJo, I think her world record was maybe 21:49, I think. So she's not that far off from FloJo's world record. That'll probably not be beaten for a while. To be honest with you, a lot of people think FloJo was using some performance enhancing drugs, so it's going to be hard to compete with that. And that's why you see a lot of records in women's track that haven't been broken for 30 or 40 years because they were set by either Americans competing with the East Germans or the East Germans themselves. And we know the East Germans had a massive doping program, but the Americans had the advantage that we had enough money to cover up when our athletes got
those
busted.
East Germans, them women look like,
Oh,
whoa.
they
If
were
I
like
saw
baby
them, if I
Schwarzeneggers.
was in Germany and I saw them women, I'd be running the other way. Like, oh Lord, help me. The Terminator's coming to get me.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
women look so rough.
Oh my,
The
the
women
Terminator.
coming to get me. But yeah, okay. So wait, boys, as you're talking, okay, I'm trying to find the theme here between the two stories that we're covering because this is like two
Wh-
totally different topics. So I think the first theme is politics. How does
Mm,
politics play into your life, right? Are you willing to play the politics? Because universities are just a microcosm of a whole lot of other places where politics is important. And I think that's also the case for track and field, definitely. Who
mm.
likes you, who don't like you, and so forth. Okay, can you get along with people? What's happening? So that's the first thing. The second
But
thing,
isn't politics also in your wheelhouse? A lot of politics is just relationships.
oh, it is. It's
You know.
positioning yourself, it's knowing what to say, when to say, and all of those things. So that's the first thing I would think between the two stories. There's a
Hmm.
second thing that we have not talked about that is so important to talk about.
Okay. What's the second thing?
The second thing is elitism. Because
Mm-mm.
if you think about the Cosby Show, as much as we love the Cosby Show, it was sort of like elitist in a way.
I didn't think it
It's
was elite.
like
I could
it's
see
like
that. I could see
here
that.
is this wonderful black family with educated, very cultured group, with they spend time and money, they listen to jazz music,
John
they
Coltrane.
John Coltrane, and they hang out with Stevie Wonder, and they have all this beautiful
Art on the wall. The
art on the
art.
wall, and he's a OBGYN and she's a lawyer, and they have
Yeah.
all these children, Theodore Huxtable, like come on, like that name. So you just have
Right.
this, and then everything else is like kind of less than if you weren't able to be in the middle class. And then I think like with the second story,
Well,
you have,
hold that thought. Let's go into what you just said.
yeah.
But remember, up until that point, all we had was like Good
Good times,
Times,
right?
Sanford and Son. The
Exactly.
best we had to that point was the Jeffersons,
Yeah.
right? And everybody loved George Jefferson calling that man a honky. Like that was so much fun, honky. And swinging his arms behind his back when he walked and having that pride because he had his dry cleaners and all that. And I like the Cosby Show. The
No,
Cosby
I'm not saying I don't like
it,
of course I love the
it,
Cosby
it
Show.
was nice to watch because it just let us be diverse. It showed,
It
you
showed
know,
another side
and
of
and and, and I
us.
liked what Bill Cosby was trying to do.
Oh yeah, yeah,
He
yeah.
didn't do it right all the time, but I like the fact. And you and I had that
Oh,
conversation with
we love it.
we talked to Cosby on the phone that
That's
one
right.
time, and we were happy to talk to him. Our mamas were more excited than we were.
They
No
sure
matter,
were, because I mean, it's like
yeah.
it's true.
Yeah, I was like, I text my mama, Bill Cosby's about to give us a call. Ooh, let me listen on
Yeah.
speakerphone. Like, they did not care. Your
They
mama and my mama were like,
they
that
were
was
like,
Bill
they
Cosby.
were funny. They were like, "Oh, those women. Oh my goodness." They were like,
Yeah, that is interesting too, right? A lot of
"Yeah,
old school women were like, "Oh, I see
leave him
right through."
alone."
Yeah, they were like, "I see right through those white women." Like that was kind of the attitude my mother had and your mother.
Yeah, it's
Isn't
quite
that interesting?
fascinating. So, but what I wanted to say was that that's the Cosby Show. This elitist. Say whatever it is. It was like that. But if you think about Shakari Richardson and Gabby Thomas is her name.
Hmm.
Like Gabby is at Harvard,
Right.
and so it just seems like that's a little bit elitist, compared to
Hmm.
Shakari Richards. Just not that, she ain't Harvard. She
Shikari ain't
ain't
hard. She
Harvard.
ain't Harvard. She just hard.
She,
She just
but
takes out the V. She
but
just
at this
hard.
but at the same time, when I look at her, I think she represents a lot of women who come from that hard life.
You're right. Absolutely.
And that's why she's got such a fan base, and she's so interesting, and she's inspiring, if anything. Like,
Hmm.
she was at the top of her game. We were like ready for her to go to the Olympics, and it was taken away from her by something like smoking weed, which is so typical in the hood, like a cultural thing.
Hmm. True.
So it just, to me, it just like that's the link between those two stories, and it's like that is like the story of Black people. It's like, you just because you come from Shakari Richardson's world doesn't make you better. You're not better than
Oh,
the
you mean the Gabby Thomas world?
no, just because you in Shakari Richardson's world doesn't. Oh, yeah, Gabby Thomas doesn't make you better than a Shakari Richards.
And I don't think
You
Gabby
know what I
is
mean?
trying to say she's better.
She doesn't
I
have
think,
to say
and
it.
but
She
remember,
doesn't have
she doesn't
to.
have to say it right. But people impose that on her, like, oh, you think you white because you read books and shit. I don't like that. That makes me mad.
Yeah.
That makes me mad when people think that being black automatically means you ghetto, hood, whatever.
Yeah, but
Like
being ghetto and hood doesn't really mean that you're less than either.
it doesn't. It
Yeah.
doesn't mean you're less than, but we can all learn something from each other, right? Like I learned a lot from my friends that really, really lived in ghetto spaces for a long time, hood spaces. And I spent time there. I go to my grandma's house. It was right in the hood. We had to watch out for the drug dealers and all that stuff when I would go to grandma's house. And I told the story about how I was born. And we didn't have money, and I did live in the projects for quite a few years when I was a kid, and government subsidized housing, all that. But the thing that I appreciated from my parents though was they kind of helped us understand, like, just because you ain't got a lot of money don't mean that you have to
Yeah.
behave the way society expects you to behave.
Yeah, I mean, all of that is
You can still read your
true.
books, you can still set a goal for yourself, you can still work hard. So I think that everybody can learn from everybody, and I don't think anybody is better than anybody. But at the same time, I see the bullying going both directions. I see the so-called elitism going both directions. I've seen intelligent people. Give me a guess if y'all know what I'm talking about. I've seen intelligent people be told that you're not black enough, just because they want to make a better life for themselves, or people get mad at them just because they're not in the struggle anymore. And I
Well,
think that's
I'm
unfair.
not saying any of the I'm not saying any of what you're saying is true. I'm just highlighting the fact that it's there. And
Right.
it's just there, and that's what you see.
It is. It
The
is a
whole
cultural divide. You're right.
Go ahead, boys. Finish my
Sorry,
sentence for me.
I
Why don't
cut you
you?
off. I was being hood. Sorry.
You were showing your upbringing, cutting
I
me
know.
off, being
I was
impulsive.
being hood again. It,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I think it's good. We're gonna say go ahead.
No, go ahead. You could
I
make
think
a
I mean
comment.
I think Shakari is definitely worthy. Here's the simple fact about Shakari, in my opinion. Um, Shakari, I liked Shakari initially because she reminded me a lot of my adopted daughter Carmen. You know,
Oh,
a tiny little girl with a lot of spunk. Carmen grew up in the hood, and I was her coach, and
so you identify
I
with
definitely,
Shakari Richardson.
I definitely identified.
Okay.
And one of the conversations me and Carmen have always had is, yeah, we know where you come from, we know what people in that space might do, but you ain't got to do everything everybody else is doing. You don't have to, and also you don't throw away your opportunities. And the thing about Shakari is she threw away probably $100 million opportunity. I think even after she
But
was
that's her
caught,
journey. You know what I mean? That's her journey in life.
but that didn't have to be her journey. I get it. I understand. I accept it. But it's not like it's just fate that made that happen. Shikari made that happen.
Yeah, so that's the thing, like, having consequences to your behavior is important because you have to be able to look back on it and reflect on it and have some insight in on it. Listen, there's never a lose, even if things don't work out and you throw away opportunities. It's still just one experience in your life that teaches you. And the thing is that some people learn and some people never get it. They just end up where they feel like they need to be. And there's not much anyone can do to save them from it. So even if it's up to Shakari to be able to decide what kind of life she wants and if that works for her, she got to definitely how can you not be a reflection of where you come from? And there's nothing wrong with that, but you have to be able to look back on that and say, okay, is this where I want to be and am I okay with it? You can't live up to other people's standards. You
Yeah.
have to be able to say, okay, I want to be a good track star. Here's what I'm going to do and here's how I'm going to get there. I'm not going to be on this relay and work with these people that I can't work with right now because I need to work on some things.
Well,
So it's your own personal journey. And yeah, us looking at it, we definitely get frustrated because we can see the potential there. But at the end of the day, you have to be able to say, you know what, let's let people lay in the bed that they made
yeah. Oh,
and not
absolutely. I
save
mean, it
people.
should. Well, no. The goal is not to save anybody. I think
Yeah.
I look at Shakari and I see that as an opportunity to discuss choices, right? And to
Yeah.
talk about discipline and professionalism. And the thing is that when we get to the point where we excuse anything anybody does, and like I had debates with people when Shakari, was saying things that didn't quite make sense. Like when she got the brakes beat off her by those Jamaicans, and she was
Yeah.
talking crazy, and people were like, "No, you got to pop your stuff, you got to talk your stuff," and I'm like, "No, but I get that, I understand it, but at the same time, there is something called grace and be not being a sore loser." And in sports, people don't respect sore losers. You see it all the time. I watched this really good documentary on Netflix called Quarterback, and it features Patrick Mahomes, Kirk Cousins, and Marcus Mariota. And what I love about Patrick Mahomes, who's about Sha'Carri's age, and with his $400 million contract, is whether Patrick loses or wins, he's always gracious. He's always like, "Love you, dog. Love you, dog." He may not mean it, but he's competing with you, but he understands how to carry himself in a way that does not make him look like just a terrible person. And Sha'Carri, you're right. She has a choice to do that, but it's going to cost her big. I think she threw away $100 million because I think that there were cannabis companies that would have written a big check to her, as a sponsor for their product, because
Maybe.
she was the most talked about track athlete since Michael Johnson, or maybe Flojo even. And then with that speed, Lord, I mean, y'all don't understand. If you don't watch track, Sha'Carri is an amazing, extraordinary talent. She's super fast, and I just hate to see her just waste that. But you're right, it sucks. And the other thing too, last point I'll make on this, again, going back into your field of relationships, I don't know if Carrie understands yet that not only are relay teams a team sport, but corporate sponsorships are a team sport.
Mhm.
You have to be a team player to get a corporation to write you, a $10 million check to endorse their product. Because if you're not a team player, they're gonna think, okay, you could be another Kanye West who's gonna blow up the whole spot. Who's just gonna blow up. And I spent a lot of time on the phone with Kanye, and I understood a lot of what Adidas said. If you always think that your emotional triggers are the most important thing happening in any situation, a lot of people are not going to work with you because they know they can't build with you. And so at that point, you need to go off and sit with your therapist until you learn how to calm down and kill some of that ego and learn that you are part of something bigger than yourself.
Okay. You're done now. You're done with your statement. Um, that's. I agree with you. I would have to say I totally agree with you. Um, it's we're looking at it and we see what we see.
Mm-hmm.
And um, I think that Shakari's got. Well, it'll be fascinating to see how this all turns out. When is it going to be?
Well, the
The
World Championships, I think they're like around the 19th or 20th
Okay.
In Budapest, Hungary. Yeah, and when I ran into
Oh
Gabby Thomas,
Lord, Budapest.
yeah,
Yeah.
like when I ran to Gabby Thomas, she was in line at like Chick-fil-A or something. Ain't that weird? With her New Balance sneakers on, I was talking to her at the Chick-fil-A line, and I was like, "Yeah, good luck at Worlds." Like I knew everything about everything because I
Okay.
had just
I hope she was like, okay. I hope
yeah.
this
I tried
man
not.
ain't
Well, the thing is, I
ain't
tried not.
trying to do too
Right, I
much.
tried not to act like a weirdo because I know
Okay.
all of us,
You
like
get excited and you could
well,
be
I
a little.
I know that I know how to handle it. Like when I meet somebody that's excited to meet me, it doesn't freak me out. I try to help them calm down, and I tell them like, "Okay, breathe. It's cool. It's gonna be all right." But they get excited, and I was excited because I have so much respect for what she accomplished. And I know how hard she worked to run 21.6. And I was like, yeah, I followed you on Instagram. I said 21.6, woo. And I ran the 200. I know how hard it is to run a damn 21.6. Like these are some talented black women. And let me tell
Mhm.
you, Shakari, I think her best time in the 100 is like 10.72. And 10.72 is hard to run. Or maybe it's faster than that. She might have run a 10.6. I know she ran a 10.5 wind aided, but that she had wind in her
Yeah,
back.
I think that sports is just it should be more than just your time. I think people who are involved in sports, even if you have like a really good talent, if you're really good at what you do, you really should. What I've come to learn is that it has to be something that's enjoyable for you. It has to be something that sparks the joy. That's
Mm-hmm.
something that I've learned. Like in anything that you do, like okay, so I've seen the page, Cheryl Porter, the lady, she
Mm-hmm.
teaches people how to sing. One thing I love about her page is that when she's in that position where she's teaching those little girls, she teaches the little white girls how to sing and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
it's you get the sense that there's nothing else she'd rather do than to teach them how to sing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it just seems like she could be teaching nothing and nobody how to sing. And she would do it anyway. And I think that's the big takeaway with sports. You have to, you know, trust the process and enjoy the process at any moment. So the biggest thing for you to do if you have a team sport where you need to get together, you need to just be like, "Hey, I'm so looking forward to us working together." Like that's the right kind of attitude you need to have. Like find the joy in doing this relay. Find the joy in it all and not make it seem like this is a grind, like something you don't enjoy. And I know just from listening to you and other people who are track track people, it's a grueling sort of sport.
Mm-hmm.
And so the practices are really hard and trying to get everything right is really hard, the timing and all of that. But I really do think that what what distinguishes the greats from the ordinary is number one the talent, but also it's the attitude behind it. It's like there's nowhere else I want to be but here, and I'm having so much fun doing it. As grueling as it is, find the joy in it all. And I think that is really what will get people over, what makes some people so successful. Because there's a ton of vocal coaches out there. There's a ton of people who run track and field and who
Yeah.
do this and who have the talent. But it's the joy in it to me.
I think it's the joy, but I think that there's a difference between being a good vocal coach versus being having to be one of the top 3 vocal coaches on the planet,
Yeah.
right? So I
Yeah.
think that with track athletes or any athlete, you
Or
know,
any job that you're
right?
doing,
Well,
because most of us aren't track
no,
athletes.
but
Yeah.
what I get, what I'm saying though is that, but there is a difference in the sense that, like for example, I'm good at what I do. I love what I do. I love teaching finance. But if I
Yes.
was in a competition where I had to be in the top 5 on earth
Uh-huh.
in order to maintain my position, there
Yeah.
would be a lot of pressure in that, right? In the sense that there's only space for 5. You can't. It's not like there could be 100 people who all get joy from doing the same profession. No, there's only room for 5. If you're and in track and field, there's a lot of pressure put on the athletes
Uh-huh.
because if they can't keep winning, they lose all of their sponsorships. They can't
Yeah.
compete anymore. You know, they got to go back to working at Walmart or whatever. So, you know, I think some of that joy gets stolen when you're like in a position where it's like, okay, I got to take these steroids. I got to do it because a lot of these athletes are on performance enhancing drugs. That's an untold aspect of track and field. Like nobody talks about it,
Well, I don't know what
but
the health effects are of that
well,
long
I
term.
think that the drugs have gotten better, but like the way they sort of ostracized, I was furious the way they sort of took Marion Jones. If y'all
That was
remember
the
Marion Jones,
saddest thing
well, they
ever.
pulled her to the side as if she's the only one who's doing it and she's the bad person,
After she had that
and
baby.
she had a baby and
Oh,
had to go to jail for perjury. I hated that because I
yeah.
said that's a damn shame. There's so many athletes that have been speculated to have used the different
Yeah,
types of
they made an
substances.
example out of her for sure. But
Right.
what I'm saying is that the goal for what you do in life, and this is just no matter what we do in life, like all of us have a purpose. The goal is not to be top 5. The goal is to do your best and enjoy it.
Yeah. Well, that's
That's the goal. And if you make it into top 5, wonderful. If you make it into top 10, wonderful. If you make it into the top 100, whatever it is, if you make it or if you don't make it, the end goal should not be, I want my time to be this. The end goal should be, I'm going to stick with this process. And if I stick with the process and enjoy it along the way, then my time will be there. Because to get to a 21.5 or whatever you just quoted, there's training that has to go with that. There's time. There's a whole lot of training that that people have to go through in order to get to that time. So the goal is to stick with the process and not necessarily be focused on your performance necessarily.
Well, I think it depends on the approach.
Okay.
There are some
So
athletes
that's my position on what the
yeah.
approach
I
should
mean,
be.
right. I mean, like I'm a basketball fan, and I
Yeah.
would say that you have athletes like Tracy McGrady, who is incredibly talented, who seemed to have a lot of fun, but he never won a championship. And then you have guys like Michael Jordan, who insisted on winning championships. He would not stop until he won a championship. But there's a high price paid for winning at that level, right? Jordan paid a price. His family fell apart.
But when you start,
His eyes are turning yellow in the documentary. But then, or Patrick Mahomes, which if you watch that documentary Quarterback on Netflix, you'll see where Mahomes damn near broke his ankle, and his wife was saying, "You got to get out. They got to take him out." And the coaches are like, Patrick, we need you to get out of the game. Patrick like, no, I will not leave the game. Like, come on, you got to put me in. You got to put me in. You got to put me back in. And he was willing to do any and everything to get back in the game. And as a result, he ended up winning the Super Bowl,
Yeah,
right?
well,
And so the
I'm
question, hold on,
mhm,
give me a second. The
yeah.
question is, what price are you willing to pay? And one thing you'll find is that there is a difference in the mindset between the people that are consistent champions versus the people who were just really good and almost became champions.
No, what I wanted to say was that when I see Michael Jordan play, he looked
Mhm.
like there was no other place he wanted to be but on that court playing. Like he found, like, when he was levitating, basically dunking that ball, it was like time and space stood still for him. Like, you didn't get the sense that he hated what he was doing. You got the sense that he was
Mhm.
obsessed with it and he absolutely loved basketball.
Mhm.
And I get that with, all the greatest people. Like, when you see them do it, it's contagious. You're like, wow, this person is really performing at their peak level and they are really doing it. And it doesn't seem like they're obsessed with it. And I'm sorry, Boyce, that's what I see in you. When I see you do your work, the reason why, you're as good at what you do than as you are is that when I see you work, you're really like obsessed with it and you really have a good time. Like, there's nothing else you would rather do than to sit online and run your mouth. And that's just something that
And
you're
run
just
my
good
mouth.
at.
And
Yeah,
then
that's
y'all
what
see,
you do.
yeah, thank you for showing so much respect to my work.
No,
You
I
what
just
what
I just gave you a
what does your husband do? He gets
he gets
online
online and
and
runs
runs
his
his
mouth.
mouth.
Yeah. You enjoy
I
it.
would not say that about you. I wouldn't say people be like, well, what does your wife do? Oh, she gets online and runs her mouth. She just be running her mouth.
No, but Boyce, I can't just say you're a finance person. You know what I mean? You talk about so many different topics, and you're excellent at what you do. So I don't know. I just said run your mouth just because of a lack of a better word. I didn't want to have to run off the whole list of things that you
I don't know.
do.
I think she
But
was
what
hating a
I'm
little bit,
doing,
y'all.
I'm not
What do y'all
hate.
think? What do y'all think? I think that was that a compliment or an insult? What
Can
y'all
I
think?
finish my
Go.
sentence, please?
Yes, you can. Oh, go ahead. You can continue
It's
running.
hard.
You can keep running your mouth. Go ahead.
Y'all, it's so hard for me to talk because Boyce is doing what he loves to
But you've been
do.
running your mouth for so long.
Okay, can I start? Can I
Yes.
say what I need to say? Because, like, when you do that, like, it throws off
Train of thought.
my train of thought, and then I never can get back on it.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, what I'm saying is that you have that ability too. Like, there's nothing else you want to do than to be in front of big crowds of people, to be online, and to say what you need to say to people. Like, that's your gift.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just giving you a compliment, actually. I didn't know.
RP thinks you was throwing shade.
Yeah,
And then
but the
shaking my
thing,
head says the woman SMH. I don't know what that means exactly.
okay,
You gotta
well, the
elaborate on
thing
that.
is that I don't care how people take it. You know what I mean? I don't really care. All I'm saying is it's an example of what? What are you looking at? You're
Andre
distracting me.
Terry says Dr. Alicia throwing shade.
Okay, fine. I'm throwing shade. But what I'm saying is that that's you in your element doing your thing at the at
Mm-hmm.
a top peak, and it's joy for you. Like yesterday
Right.
when you did the podcast for 2.5 hours,
Mm-hmm.
time melted away. You didn't even know you were online for 2.5 hours.
Right.
And that's when you're in
Yeah.
your element doing your
And
thing.
I agree with that, right? And I think that what fun lets you do, what having fun and being obsessed leads you to do is you do the best you can. You do the absolute best you can. Um, Doing the best I can is very different from the other requirement, which would be doing what is necessary to be the champion, to be the lead, right? So Patrick Mahomes, you know, could have went out and had fun and just said, I'm just gonna play the best I can, see what happens. If I twist my ankle and I can't play, then so be it. That's just bad luck. But he said, no, tape it up, do what you got to do because
Yeah.
I must win the Super Bowl, right? Which gets to the point where you go beyond where it's fun. Like I remember when Rick Pitino told a story about a player named Richie Farmer. Rick Pitino used to coach at Kentucky, and this player named Richie Farmer came to him and said, "I'm leaving the team." And he said, "Why are you leaving the team?" He said, "Well," he said, "I'm not having fun anymore."
Hmm.
And Rick's perspective was, he's like, "You think it's supposed to always be fun? You think you're always supposed to love being out there on the
Okay,
court?"
so you disagree with me, and that's
Well, no, it's not
okay.
about
You
disagreeing.
can
Well, hold on, wait,
disagree with
hold on.
me.
I'll let you run your mouth for a while. Let me run mine. And what Rick just said to him was, he said, if you want to win a championship, it ain't gonna be fun all the time. You're gonna have times where you're gonna hate it, because you're going to have to do things you don't want to do in order to get what you want. And Mike Tyson made another comment that I thought was interesting. Sorry. Mike Tyson also said something similar. He said, to be a champion of the world, you're going to have to do a lot of stuff you don't want to do. You're going to have to do a lot of stuff that isn't fun. He said, the difference with a champion is that you have to train your brain to do the things you hate as if you love it. So
Yes.
maybe that circles back to what you're
Yeah,
saying.
that is what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
he said you have to do the things you hate as if you love it.
Hmm.
Go ahead.
I mean, it's nothing like watching somebody do something. It's nothing like watching somebody do something and they absolutely can't stand it. It makes you think like what's the point of them even doing this? So anyway, let me read some of the comments. Yes, what is this? Shaking my head. We love you and we need you. What do you mean? What happened? Okay. Let me read some more of the comments. Yeah, props to the good Dr. Watt. Everybody's giving you props, boys.
Well, I appreciate it.
Do you really appreciate it?
Yes.
Let me see what else. Um, exactly. One person's actions will affect all others. I don't know what that's supposed to
Well, there's
mean.
so much to carry.
Oh, Shakari.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
don't know.
She has to be a team player.
Yeah, that's gonna be tough for her to be a team player.
Yeah, I wonder how it's gonna play out. And
She's
well,
not.
I'll say this. I expect. Dr. Bob says, "I get you, Dr. Alicia. Don't be here flirting with my woman, man. I'm playing. I love Dr. Bob. That's my guy right there. Everybody should follow Dr. Bob. He has a great show, by the way. But anyway, so I think we've talked about this one for a little bit, so we should
I
go.
can't believe you've actually talked yourself out. You don't even have a voice.
I know, I
You've
know.
like lost your
Well, I
voice.
started coughing. I had to step up and like kind of like go hack away for a
But
minute.
that's okay. You'll be done with this, and then in the next couple of hours you'll be back online.
Well, no, I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna try to go back to sleep. We had to get up. We had an emergency in the middle of the night. We're in Denmark, and it's 2:40 in the morning. And if you're listening live, I guess it's maybe 8:40 where you are, or 7:40. And they had a fire alarm go off, and I was so mad because I thought I was actually going to be able to sleep through the night, and that's really hard to do when you're going to bed like at what is basically the equivalent of like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And this stupid thing woke me up. Now I'm wide awake.
You
You
were
know,
really mad.
I was
It
pissed.
really set you off
I
that
was
the
I was mad because it's always because in the hotel, whenever they set off the alarm in the middle of the night, there's never a real emergency.
right,
They're not,
but you still gotta
but
exit the building.
you
You were
gotta
really
exit because it could be a real emergency, right?
honestly, I kind of feel like if I had said something to you, if I said, "Boys, let's not leave," you would have been like, "Okay." You would
No,
have stayed
no,
here.
I would have said no. We gotta follow the rules.
Okay.
I ain't that stupid.
Because you were the
Because
last person out the
because with my
building.
luck, I was the last person, but with my luck, that'd be the one time where there really was a fire. To be like dumbass black man killed on 6th floor because he's too stupid to get up and leave the hotel. News at 11.
I have a question for you.
Uh huh.
Can I go into a question? Maybe I shouldn't.
Sure. What's your
Because I
question?
feel like we'd be opening a whole nother can of worms.
Well, open up the can of worms, and I might close it right back up.
Like, when it was just like instructions on how to leave, were you just kind of upset at the fact that they were like rushing you to leave? Like, they were like, come on, let's leave.
No, there
Because the
was.
guy really rushed me down.
I was irritated with waking up in the middle of the night when I was sleeping good and getting through my night, and I had a strong suspicion that there wasn't a real emergency. Somebody pulled the fire alarm or something, and I wasn't. It's not that I was moving slow deliberately. I was
Mm-hmm.
just moving at a regular pace. I
Okay.
wasn't moving. I admit I was not moving at a pace of urgency, like, oh my God, I gotta get myself, gotta get out of here. I don't panic like that, right? And I get it. Some people respond differently. So that's all it was,
Okay. I was
and
just curious about that because, yeah, because you were moving really
yeah, yeah,
slowly.
but I'm good now. It's
Okay.
we're back and life is good and everybody's happy. So anyway, guys, we're gonna bounce on out of here. It was really fun talking to you all. I want to say thank you for watching Pillow Talk with Dr. Boyce and Dr. Alicia Watkins. This podcast is on Spotify, so if you go to Spotify, you can find us. Just look up my name on Spotify. And also, don't forget the All Black National Convention's happening October 20th. It's going to be in Atlanta at the Marriott Marquis Hotel. If you'd like to join us, so we're going to have a lot of scholars and thinkers and really great people there to discuss issues in the Black community. Over 40 speakers and panelists and thinkers, and also the Black Doctoral Network is hosting their convention there. And so there are going to be lots of Black PhDs in the building, specifically focused on making our community better. And also, it's a great place to network and meet other people that are like minded. And you're also going to have a ton of fun. So if you'd like to join us, the discounted hotel rooms are running out. Just go to allblacknationalconvention.com. And also, Dr. Alicia, she's a licensed therapist and a full professor of social work. Her website, if you'd like to learn more about what she does, is coachingwithdralicia.com, or you can follow her on Instagram at Coaching with Dr. Alicia. And she had a really successful wellness retreat recently. I want to congratulate you on that, by the way.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, you
That
did.
was really a good weekend.
Yeah, that was very cool.
It sparked joy in me.
Yeah, well, do you have the recordings? Maybe people can
Yeah,
get there.
we're still working on the recordings. We'll have them up shortly.
Okay.
So it can be, a virtual retreat that was recorded that, anybody can purchase and download.
Yeah, yeah. The customer satisfaction, everybody seemed to really enjoy it, and I guess sometimes people aren't sure what they're gonna get, and once they got in there, they seemed really happy. So that was really cool. I was really happy for you.
Yeah.
So yes, you can go to coachingwithdralicia.com to learn more about what she does, or if you'd like to see the virtual healing retreat, the recordings will be available, so you guys can check that out. And then for myself, if you have an interest in wealth and investing, I have a private Telegram channel called the Black Investors Group. If you'd like to follow me on Telegram, just go to drboycetelegram.com, and I will send you profit alerts and all kinds of really good information. We're trying our best to kind of move away from YouTube and Facebook and Instagram and all that, because we really don't like we like freedom of speech. We like to be able to reach you without having these networks throttle the reach. So for example, the fact that I have 360,000 subscribers on the channel, but only about 100 or 200 people get alerted when we go live. That's a big issue. So we're gonna basically move our energy away from uh, the traditional media outlets and try some other ways of connecting with you. So Telegram is a great way to connect, and I will post things every day. So drboycetelegram.com. Feel free to follow there. All right, everybody. Well, have a good night. God bless you. We will see you soon, and we'll talk to you soon. Take care now. Bye bye.